I was going to say something, then I realized it's live.
It is live. Welcome back to the Fantasy Brothers podcast. It's Josh. It's Ben. It is
Why do you
a
sound so
Tuesday.
somber?
Somber. I'm excited.
Welcome back to the podcast. It's Josh and Ben.
It's
Cheer up!
it's football time. I have no idea. I don't know.
Unless you're
Do you
sad
get
about
you
your
ever just
fantasy
get
teams this week.
man, they are killing me. Killing me. Absolutely killing me. You get all these stacked teams and they don't perform. It's like I has all this been in vain? What have I been doing?
I had a good week. I don't know about you.
I've got two super teams that are just tanking the bed the past couple weeks.
Okay, I'm sorry. One's 9-1 and the other's 7-3.
Okay, the
Don't
nine and
talk
one.
to
I'm
me
not talking.
about.
I'm not talking about the 9-1 team. The 9-1 team is perfectly fine. They're doing great. It's the other ones where you got a 12-8 and a 7-3. The 7-3. This team was over here leading the league in scoring up until a few weeks ago, and now it's just this. It's just a plane
There's a
crashing. I
new
don't know what's
there's a
going on.
new number one in that league. It's
I
me.
don't.
If
I
y'all
don't know
couldn't
what the
tell.
deal is. I didn't hit 100 points this past week, Ben.
Yeah, I had a good week, but ooh, that's tough. You also had Kelsey and Mahomes on by, so
I did.
that doesn't help.
I started Donald Parham, Tyler Boyd, Michael Thomas, and Gardner Minshew, but still,
Well, Tyler Boyd had a great game.
yeah,
Michael Thomas did not, and
no,
Gardner Minshew did not.
no, and Donald Parham caught two passes for 18 yards. Lamar Jackson did nothing. It was a rough week.
Yeah, dude. Lamar, they're a great team, but Lamar, you got to take some touchdowns at the goal line, my man. Of
He's having a great year and he's not scoring fantasy points. I don't understand.
course, he did actually have a bad game this past week against Cleveland. Like he kind of lost him that game.
What's crazy is
He Josh Allen him.
he's not scored 20 points in one, two, three, four, five, 6 of his 10 games. So 60% of his games he doesn't score 20 and he's the QB5.
That's because he's had 24, 28, 30, and 36. So his good games are great, but other than that, he's very bleh.
It's incredibly frustrating. The lack of I mean he's got
I am proud
15
of you
total
though
touchdowns.
in the Grand League finally starting Justin Herbert over him. That was a good decision.
I had to make a change.
It worked out. Herbert
It
balled
did.
this week.
Herbert I've realized is maybe not the highest upside, though the upside is very high.
I
Don't hear what
mean,
I'm not
I've
saying.
seen him score 40 points in a week before.
Yes. Um but like he doesn't tend to kill you. Outside of that Jets game, he had 7. He was the QB 25. Kansas City was the QB 21. But I think the Kansas City one and the Jets game, you kind of knew ahead of time those were not great matchups. You
Yeah,
should not
you do
expect
not
great
start
things.
quarterbacks against the Jets. You do not start quarterbacks against Kansas City.
You don't. So you knew ahead of time that was on the horizon. You should have expected it. Outside of those 2 weeks, he's been phenomenal, and he's currently the QB3.
Yeah, 21 week 1, 24, 32, 24, 20, 27, 32. So outside of those two games, I mean, he's averaging 26, 27 points a week.
Yeah, it's quite nice. It is. It is very nice. Oh, we've got what do we have on this episode? We got news, and
So it's a
we're
little
doing
bit
a
of a
little bit of
different
a
episode again.
yeah, we're shaking it up. We're doing a bit of a dynasty check-in where we're looking at the top 10 running backs and receivers,
It's
just
another
going through
week
them
without
and
the
seeing.
weenies.
Yeah, we're not really talking weenies, are
I'm upset about it.
we? We're looking at some dynasty ranks though, and we're trying to go through and see how things have changed, where some changes could be made. And this was really born out of looking at the running back position. It is all over the place right now. And the receiver position, for the most part, it's the usual suspects. But with the running backs, there are so many names that could shift around depending on your perception. Um, and you can make arguments for a lot of different guys to be in your top 10 dynasty running backs. Even at the top, it is 1 through 5. You can make cases for a lot of different guys. So I think it'll be an interesting exercise to see where we fall on some things. There will be some disagreements. It will be wonderful and it will be fantastic. But before we get into those things, we do need to talk some news. We can fly through these because there was no major knee injuries or Achilleses that I can think of to talk about, which thank goodness. There was only the Derek Carr concussion.
Do you hear something playing in the background?
Yeah, what's playing in the background?
I don't know. Had something on my tablet going like, but nothing was open. There's something about Josh Dobbs.
Oh my gosh. I heard the little voices and then I saw your head going like what is happening?
I was like, well, like I didn't have anything on my tablet, and then my phone is off. So I'm like, where is it coming from?
That's wonderful.
Yeah, we record this live, and y'all just gonna have to deal with it. We make mistakes.
Yeah.
We're not professionals.
Um we've got Matthew Stafford expected to play in week 11. We already talked about this last week.
Thank the Lord for Cooper Cup.
You're prepared for this. Thank goodness. Yeah. Cooper Cup, I need Cooper Cup to return to me because this version of Cooper Cup we've got in the past few weeks is unacceptable and it is not what I signed up for. So
I've been
Matthew
balling
Stafford
without
is enough
him,
of that.
but I'd love to ball with him.
It would be so nice. It would be great. Uh, this is upsetting, mostly for you. T. Higgins is not expected to play Thursday night against the
I
Ravens.
didn't think he would. But
It's very unfortunate.
fortunately, for most of the teams that I have T. Higgins on, I also got Jamar Chase. So he's getting like 7 to 8 targets and Chase getting 10. Chase is going to get like 15. So that's fine.
There you go. It'll bounce out.
Yeah.
Aaron
Chase
Rodgers,
just scores double.
yeah, sort of. Yes, it works out nice. Usually, what'll happen is Tyler Boyd will sneak in there, and you'll be like, Why is he the guy doing stuff? I don't know.
Because Chase is triple teamed over there.
Somebody's got to do something. Aaron Rodgers said his goal to return from his Achilles injury is mid-December,
Some lofty
which
goals,
is
Aaron.
that's something.
Y'all offense got to win some games before that happens. Like, I don't know how these dudes go out there. They held Justin Herbert, even though they lost the game. They held Justin Herbert to 136 passing yards. They forced Mahomes to throw 2 picks, and I think Mahomes also fumbled in that game. So they got 3 turnovers from Patrick Mahomes, even though they lost that game. They beat the Eagles and forced Jalen Hurts to throw 3 picks. They beat the Bills, where Josh Allen threw 3 picks. But apparently, Aiden O'Connell is the weakness.
I don't know.
Y'all got to
I
win some
don't
games
know.
before Aaron comes back.
I I don't know. Their offense is abysmal. They would benefit from Aaron Rodgers even if he is 70% of Aaron Rodgers. I will say that.
That's let's put it this way. I will be absolutely stunned if Aaron Rodgers comes back in December.
I would be as well. I
But
can't see that happening.
they still got an outshot shot at the playoffs.
They do. They definitely do because Buffalo keeps
I,
losing games.
they fired Ken Dorsey today. We didn't put that in the news thing, but they did
We
fire
did.
Ken Dorsey today.
Yeah, they fired Did you see who they hired as the offensive coordinator or promoted, I should say?
No, I didn't.
It
I
was
just
Joe
saw they
Brady.
fired Ken Dorsey. Joe
They
Brady?
promoted Joe Brady.
I forgot he was still alive.
Yeah, he was the LSU offensive coordinator when they made their
Well,
magical
they were
championship
like
run.
co-offensive coordinators. I don't really think Brady was the true brains behind it.
No, he wasn't. There's no way he was. He was the quarterback's coach. Oh, you're talking about at LSU.
At LSU, yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, everyone was a flop under Matt Rule at Carolina.
Yeah, that was rough. and then he disappeared into oblivion and pops back up, and now he's the Bills' offensive coordinator, which has been a great
Look,
position the past few years. But
I am pulling for him because I need the Bills to do well.
the, yeah, that's a whole other topic. Is just the confusion that is the Bills' offense because it's weird.
This I've never seen I've never seen anything like it. Did you see how they lost last night?
Yeah, because they just couldn't score.
No, no, but like I'm talking about the very end of the game.
Oh, when they missed the field goal, called a flag, and then got another do over at it.
12 men on the field on the field goal try. You know who the 12th man was?
Mm-mm.
It was DeMar Hamlin.
No, it was not.
It was DeMar Hamlin out there.
Oh no,
Needless to say, Twitter had a field day with that.
that's brutal.
I will not say the things that were said on Twitter, but you can imagine if you've ever seen Twitter.
They said he should have stayed down. Is that what they were saying?
Yeah.
That's bad. That's so bad.
Shouldn't be
Oh
laughing, but
no.
that is not the Cinderella story we were hoping for from DeMar Hamlin was losing the game.
No, that's rough. That's so rough. Um, Last piece here. Derek Carr was injured Sunday. Michael Thomas as well, but like I don't feel like talking about Michael Thomas. Derek Carr entered the concussion protocol, and apparently, the way the Saints talked about it was that both Thomas and Carr suffered fairly serious injuries, but not season-ending injuries. So when I looked up Derek Carr's injury, it said he was in the concussion protocol, but that also he had injured his shoulder. So I don't know. I'm leaning on the concussion thing being what his actual injury is, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
It is nothing personal against Derek Carr, but from a purely fantasy standpoint, I would love for Jameis Winston to start the rest of the year
I would
because
love
I
it.
don't think Chris Olave had any targets before when Derek Carr was in. And then he comes out and has 94 yards and a touchdown once Jameis Winston comes in the game. Jameis Winston is not a good quarterback in real life. I am not going to argue you there, but he is phenomenal for fantasy.
He's basically what Ryan Fitzpatrick was for a few years, where he's not actually that good in real life, but for some reason, he just chucks it and supports fantasy assets very well. I remember
Chris
Vincent
Godwin and
Jackson.
Mike Evans were the wide receiver 1 and 2
Yes.
when he was the starter in Tampa Bay, and he threw
Yes.
33 touchdowns and 30 interceptions.
It was a wonderful time to be alive. It was great.
It was so awesome too when he did it because like he would throw an interception and it would be like a pick six, and I'm like, okay, great. The Bucks offense
Back on
gets
the
to come
field.
right back on the field. So if
Oh,
you're a
they
Chris
hated him
Olave
so
owner,
much.
you hope Jameis stays in the game.
Yeah, you would love Jameis Winston because
Throw a pick six, put him back out there.
great offense on the field. Yeah, wonderful times. Shall we talk our running backs and wide receivers?
Oh, this is juicy. The Dynasty ranking list, it's awesome.
It's wonderful. Do you want to go 10 to 1 or 1 to 10? How do we want to do it?
Uh, I mean, I don't think there's ever really drama when you go 10-1 because like everybody knows who one is for the
Fair
most
enough.
part of all this.
All right, we'll go 1 to 10. How about that?
I like that.
Surprise of all surprises. It is Bijan Robinson at number 1 for
He's been
Dynasty
disappointing
running
this
backs.
year, and he's still the running back like 9, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he's fine.
I think it says more about the running back position as a whole than it does anything about Bijan because like Bijan is slightly disappointing but still very good. Maybe
It's an
not
Arthur Smith problem.
amazing. It is an Arthur Smith problem. We can been there, done that one. Um, but I think it just says more about like there's not a young running back completely dominating the position right now. I know Travis Etienne is sort of there, but it's not. Travis Etienne was really doing it with touchdowns. Like it wasn't just that. Like Jonathan Taylor, when he was the RB1, he
Well, he was
was
also getting
the
like a
best running back in
massive
football.
workload too.
Yes, but still, there's just I feel like there has been that young guy that's just completely dominant. Like there was Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Um, Jonathan Taylor comes in right as they're getting a little bit older. And then Jonathan Taylor sort of takes a step back and nobody really jumps into that immediate number one spot where it's like undisputed they're the number one guy. So Bijan's there. I think if there were somebody completely dominating everything, then it gets a little bit different. But Bijan is doing just fine. He's super young. He's got crazy high draft capital. He's got that 5-year contract. So some of this is just he's locked in for
He ain't
four
going
years.
anywhere.
He ain't going anywhere, and he's good
And
right
at
now.
floor
So
right now. That's
exactly,
the crazy part.
yeah. Number two, we went Christian McCaffrey, and
Mildly shocking, I guess.
I don't know. Like I think
I don't
some
know if it's
people,
necessarily shocking. Most people probably agree. I don't know.
most people probably agree. I would think, but I think some people are going to be like, yeah, but isn't he like 27
He's
years old?
27.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he scores like a quarterback. Deal with it.
yeah, I know. He is he is here because his current production is so much better than everybody else's. Like he just had 20 fantasy points and half PPR without a touchdown. That's that's
We were
incredible.
disappointed. Like, oh dang, Christian McCaffrey didn't score today. What? He
Yeah.
only had 20,
Yeah. Crazy. So yeah, CMC at
and
2. I
they've still got him locked up for like, is it next year and the year after? Like 2 more years.
Yep, they've got him for 2 more years.
So it's running back is a weird position. I feel like quarterbacks and wide receivers, you can kind of game plan for longer. When you're ranking them in Dynasty, you're looking at a much smaller window. So one this year and next year, like I'm still okay with CMC at 2. Like if he falls off, like 2024. So if he falls off in 2025, like oh well, like you still got this year and next year with him.
Yeah. At 3 we go Brees Hall. I think some people have him at 2. Um he ends up at 3. Like he's not producing at a super elite level. He's an elite talent, we can see it, but the offense is horrible right now. I think he has like initially there were a lot of fears when Aaron Rodgers went down that his dynasty price would plummet, and it hasn't because he's good enough that like he can still float, I guess, when the offense tanks. But you said they haven't scored a touchdown in 36 possessions or
It's been
something like that.
36 offensive possessions without a touchdown.
Jeez.
I was going to probably say I think this is an excellent opportunity to go buy Brees Hall.
If you can get him. I don't you might not be able to, but if there's
Probably
that
not.
one manager that's frustrated, and I'm sure they exist, go pay up for him
I
cuz
mean,
he's great.
he's thrived off big plays this year, and it's big partially because he's had to because that offense is so bad. For the foreseeable future, like I know we talk about Aaron Rodgers coming back mid-December, but like the fantasy playoffs are over then, so I don't. He's going to be good the rest of the season. It's going to be tough for him to be amazing, but I mean, two is I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine Zach Wilson's not their quarterback next year. Maybe it's Aaron Rodgers, maybe it's somebody else. I think they're going to have a plan at quarterback next year after this season.
They will figure
And
something out.
yeah, Brees Hall in a halfway competent offense, not the league worst offense, is a terrifying sight to behold.
I can agree with it.
Number 4, it is your son, Jameer Gibbs.
My boy, you disagree. I know.
I don't
I
really
love with Jameer
disagree.
Gibbs. I think him and Brees are even in my eyes.
Oh, okay. You saying I disagree because you would have Gibbs above Brees.
I say above him, like I truly think it is a coin flip between those two guys to me. Talent wise, they are both top 5 talents. Brees complements a little bit more to the big workload, explosive play guy. Gibbs complements a little bit more to a Christian McCaffrey. I think Gibbs is in a better situation.
That is
Brees can handle a
undisputable.
Brees can handle a workload in Gibbs. I don't know. They're both incredible. I love Jameer Gibbs. I think it's Fantasy Guides on Instagram actually reposted something today that they posted back in the off season of how much Gibbs compliment or comps to a Christian McCaffrey
Mm,
of the top draft capital, the talent profile, and the production they've had to this point. It is shockingly equal.
yeah,
So I we don't know what Jameer Gibbs' ceiling is yet. It can Jameer Gibbs can have a frightening ceiling.
he definitely could. He absolutely could. Um, yeah, maybe some people look at him at 4 and go, "That's spicy." Because I'm looking at it too. There's a part of this where you have to balance current production, but you also need to look at when I'm going to make a trade in a dynasty league, what's a guy that you would still pay a haul for? And I know it was rough for a few weeks there, but like I'd still pay a lot to get Jameer Gibbs in a dynasty, in a
We
competing team and a rebuilding team. I would gladly pay a bunch to get Jameer Gibbs.
Yeah, we it was definitely tough. You if you listen to the podcast, you heard me moan and whine for about 6 weeks there about Jameer Gibbs, and then the Montgomery injury happened. We saw what it looks like without Montgomery with Gibbs. It's incredible. And then this week, I think we he carved out a big enough role with the coaching staff to where like, oh yeah, this guy's legit. He's figured it out. He's ready for the offense. And we saw speed Gibbs and a full speed Montgomery, both fully integrated in the offense, and it's terrifying.
Yeah, that,
It's
that run game
fantastic.
is
Gibbs had goal line
horrifying.
work. Montgomery had goal line work. Gibbs caught passes. He looked good running. You don't. I am so excited for the Detroit Lions the rest of the season. I'll be honest with you. It is
They're
going to
really
be
good.
awesome.
They're really good. At 5, we go Travis Etienne. He gets all
Workload,
the
workload,
work.
workload, workload, workload.
Yeah. All the work, all the touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence sucks as a fantasy quarterback because of Travis Etienne.
Same. So it's Eckler to a certain extent for
It
Trevor
absolutely is.
Lawrence. I don't have Lawrence
Absolutely
anywhere,
is.
but I have ETN in a few places. So it's like a reverse Eckler. Like I like ETN, but I hate Eckler.
Yeah. Uh, I took Trevor Lawrence in a couple redraft leagues thinking he was going to be a top 12 quarterback. He's been so bad I've considered cutting him. Like he's been horrid.
Yeah, I don't think you can start Trevor Lawrence for the time being. I mean, in two quarterback leagues, yes. In a one quarterback league, I think you can get a better option.
You definitely can. And it's just because when they get within the 10-yard line, it's somehow going to be a Travis Etienne rushing touchdown. I don't know how they make it happen every single time, but they do. Or they get absolutely murdered, like what happened on Sunday, and there's no touchdowns. So I don't I don't know what it is.
49ers were angry this past Sunday. They
They
had a
were
point to prove.
they were frustrated, to
And
say the
they got
least.
Debo back and they got Chase Young and everybody. I wasn't as high as some people on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like I didn't think they were a top team like a lot of people were saying. But they were 6-2, like they've been winning games. But my gosh.
Yeah, it was rough. It was very rough. At 6, we go Jonathan Taylor. Got paid.
Boy, still love JT.
Finally looks like he's getting back into his old workload. He hasn't quite popped yet this year where you say, "Oh, that's the Jonathan Taylor that I remember." Hasn't quite happened like that yet, but I do think there's going to be a point where you're like, "Okay, I remember now." It just hadn't really happened yet, so it's been a little bit difficult to rank him.
He's been slowly but surely to shooing off Zach Moss and to where
Oh yeah.
Jonathan Taylor is he's back to his workload. Like we're gonna see JT the rest of the season. I I'm tempted to say like in redraft, I think he's top five rest of the season.
I need to look back at these because I'm trying to. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think because I would
He's
still take
poised
like
for it.
Kamara, Eckler, CMC. I don't know if I'd rather have ETN or not. I
That's
don't
why I
know.
said top five.
Maybe
There's
he's
guys
fifth.
ahead of him. I'll give you that, but he's pushing for it.
Yeah, he's pushing. I'll give you that. He's pushing for it. At 7, we go Kenneth Walker. It's been an interesting ride to get here. he He dropped so much, like a stone, after they took Zach Charbonnet, and then he reminded everybody that he is, in fact, the guy in Seattle. Um, there's been a really interesting trend over the past few weeks where his snap share has gone down, but his workload hasn't. Like he's still getting a ton of touches, but the amount of snaps he's on the field is going down, which is very bizarre. I guess it just means when he's on the field, they want to get him the ball. But
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. Is like if he's on the field, he's gonna get the ball. That's just the thing they're gonna do. And then Zach Charbonnet is maybe a little bit better of a pass blocker and a pass catcher. So when they want to throw the ball, they're gonna put him in.
yeah, that being said, though, Walker has looked really, really good all year long, and he's scored a bunch. And when they're in a positive game script, which the Seahawks have been in a positive game script most of this season, Walker has just dominated. They just are like, okay, we're just going to trot him out and we're going to run him down your throat, and he's going to kill you. And
Seattle has this thing, and I don't know so incredibly well of getting down to the one.
oh, they do,
And then
they do it
when they
so
get
well.
down to the one, Walker is going to score.
It's like Detroit last year; they just get pulled down at the one all the time.
You get down at the one, here comes Jamal Williams. Now, Kenneth Walker is significantly better than Jamal Williams.
Yes, but he has definitely been the goal line benefactor this year for sure.
Yeah,
At 8, we go Javante Williams.
it
The
feels good to
guy,
say he's here.
yeah, like the talent has been there, flashes have been there. It just hasn't really ever come together with the
He's picking up
injury.
though.
He's picking up. That whole team is looking very good. Um, and Javante
They've
is,
beaten the Chiefs and the Bills back to back,
man, let that sink in for a second. I know the Bills are 5-5, but still, it is the Bills.
and they throttled the Chiefs.
They did.
Like we
They
say,
throttled the
don't start
Chiefs.
quarterbacks against the Chiefs. Russ carved that defense up.
Yeah, and I mean, at one point, I I could be wrong. I'm trying to remember correctly, but I think they were up like 21. Weren't they up like 21-6 on the Bills at one point?
Something like that. On the Bills, no, they weren't up on the Bills that much.
Okay.
I don't think.
I went
Maybe
back
they
and
were.
I dove through the Bills.
I was watching that game and I was very frustrated because obviously I'm a huge Josh Allen fan and I fell asleep. It was that bad.
They look so terrible. They look so
Oh
bad.
God.
Uh, but Javante's taken all the work, and now that the offense has sort of stabilized a little bit, there's more scoring opportunities to go around. They're actually getting some rushing touchdowns. And,
And he
Javante is a
catches the ball.
talented guy rounding into form. And he catches the ball too. Yeah. He's a complete back. He could be a guy that climbs these rankings by the end of the year too. If he starts to pass the eyeball test a little bit more, he could be a guy that you could look up at the end of the season. Maybe he leaps Kenneth Walker. Maybe he leaps Jonathan Taylor, depending on how some things shake out.
I'm pulling for him.
Definitely, definitely would love it. At 9, this is the one where it's like, I don't know what to do with him, so he's at 9. We have Devon A. Chain.
I don't hate it.
I don't either. In fact, I want him to be here. It's just that I feel almost just like hot takey saying a guy who's played 3 games deserves to be the number 9 dynasty running back because it just feels like the sample size is so tiny.
Yeah,
But that sample size
I
is
was gonna
incredible.
agree with you. I would 100% agree with you. I will fully admit, in the offseason I was a big A Chain hater. I was wrong. I can admit wrong about Javon A Chain. But that being said, I do want to see more than 3 games.
Yeah.
But also, I know A Chain is going to be with Miami for the next 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah.
So,
Raheem Mostert's 31 years old too. So like
and
that
he's impressing because he's made of glass. That is
yeah.
a fine kind of man right there.
I mean, for all we know, Raheem Mostert could go and get hurt this weekend, and then it's just A Chain with 17 carries a week. I don't know, but like
I think that would kill him too.
it might. It
He's been
definitely
amazing,
might.
but the dude weighs like a buck 70.
He does, yeah. So at 10 for our 10th running back, we have 3 running backs
We
because
cheated. Sorry.
We did. Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, and Saquon Barkley to us are all the exact same player. The exact same player.
Very
All
good.
super high upside, but they could be anything in a year.
They're all in the last year of their contracts. Jacobs is the youngest of the three, only by like a year, so really not that big a difference. They could all resign. They could all sign with new teams. So do with that information what you will. I don't think any of them are going to just vanish. I think they're all too young and too good to be just irrelevant next year. But I could see like their value. I could see both of them, all three of these guys, like say they sign with a good team. They could jump A Chain and Javante if they get good contracts with a good team, or they could just plummet.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no telling. And for the wide range of outcomes that they could have, we kind of all have them clumped together at 10. Shall we talk some receivers?
Let's talk receivers.
All right. These will be easier because the top few are
Far
pretty
easier.
much locked in. Justin Jefferson is at 1, Jamar Chase is at 2. Is there anything worth saying about those two? We've known it for years. They are the top guys.
No, we have receivers after them, but these two, in my opinion, are in a class of their own for
Yeah.
Dynasty. There is can't buy either one of these two guys. It's not possible. You can combine the guys behind them. It is just almost impossible to get these guys. Jefferson is 24, Chase is 23. They get Cooper Cup, like 2019 Cooper Cup workload, and they're both 5 to 6 years younger than he is
Yeah.
and better. They're the two
It
best receivers potentially in football. Like given their age and everything, you can't beat them.
yeah. At 3 we go AJ Brown. Um he's 26 years old. Some people have him lower because of the age. I I don't know how you feel about this. I think age needs to be factored, but at a certain point, it gets silly where we're just factoring age in far too much. Like we're weighting age so much, where you're just like discounting points, and points matter at the end of the day. And I know AJ Brown's 26. He's still young. 26 is like he's got a good 4 years of his prime left, and he's absolutely dominant, and he's on pace for 1,900 yards right now. So I don't know where you land on that, but I just will throw it out there. Age, we tend to get a little bit over our skis on it, where we're like, okay, we're going hardcore into this age factor, and I don't know that we need to be so into it as we are generally as a dynasty community.
Yeah, I kind of tend to agree to you to a certain extent. I sort of use it as a tiebreaker some of these times, and with our number four guy, I mean I'm very I like him a lot too. I kind of see him and Brown as pretty much interchangeable to me, which is why I slightly prefer. We'll go ahead and reveal it. CD Lamb is our four. I maybe slightly prefer Lamb to Brown simply because of the age. Because I mean I like CD a lot
Yeah.
for fantasy. I don't know. That's that. I only use it as a tiebreaker. I view them wildly close together in my ranking, so you can talk me into either one over the other. Honestly, that's the only reason I would have CD over him. So
Yeah, and
maybe it's not an age thing. Like I agree with you. Don't worry about it. That's why I view them the same, which is the only reason I use the age as a tiebreaker essentially.
I think a lot of I have seen our number 5 guy Amon-Ra St. Brown ranked above AJ Brown because of the age thing. And I don't fault anybody for having CD above AJ
Heck,
Brown cuz CD is 24. But
I don't
wha-
necessarily disagree that Amon Ra's below. You could argue me Amon Ra at three. All three these three guys, AJ Brown, CD Lamb, Amon Ra, like they're very close.
I don't know. I would need to look at average points per game, and I'll try and pull that up here in a second cuz I
Amon
feel
Ra
like
is
there's a
silly good. It is
he
stupid.
is he's at 17 in half PPR. AJ Brown is currently at where is he? He's at 18.9. It's not a huge difference.
What is CD Lamb
Oh,
at?
okay. CD is I didn't actually look at CD. I should
Dang
have
it,
done that.
Josh.
City is at 18.2.
Holy smokes. They're all the same.
They're all right there. Um, so I guess in any order you prefer, you're going to see those three in varying different orders. But we go Brown first, Lamb second, uh, Amon Ra third. It, whatever you want, whatever floats your boat. At
I would say there's
6,
probably a tier break. Like
I would
you got
agree.
Jefferson Chase tier one, then AJ Brown, CD, Amon Ra tier two, and then
I
we
would
break
agree.
to three.
Top of tier 3 for us would be Garrett Wilson. Some of this is just he is holding serve a little bit on this horrific offense.
He's
Um,
producing still.
yeah,
Like not to obviously not what we were hoping for, like drafting him like into first round kind of stuff. It's like second round, but we drafted him in the first round. But anyway, that's beside the point. But like he's producing better than he was last year, and the offense is still terrible.
yep, yeah. He's doing what he needs to do on this offense, and it's horrible. This offense is terrible, and he's still doing it. So that to
Again,
me, he can hold his
36
spot.
consecutive drives without a touchdown.
That's so bad. That's so awful.
36.
It's terrible. So yeah, Garrett Wilson at 6. At 7, we're gonna value production, and we have Tyreek Hill. Um, he's the number one wide receiver in fantasy right now, and there's really
I don't
no
see it
sign of
changing
it
the rest
slowing
of this
down.
year.
Yeah, he's gonna be number one. I
This
think
year,
there's
and
just
he's gonna be here around next year too. So
yeah, yeah. Talking
he's
about
more of a
those
little bit like
windows,
a running back in the receiver rankings. Like receivers, you kind of value for longer times than running backs. And Tyreek Hill's not going to be here terribly much longer. Like I don't see 3-4 years of like wildly elite production from Tyreek Hill.
yeah.
But this year,
At
next
8,
year,
yeah, this year,
watch
next
out.
year, it's still locked in. At 8 and 9, we have Chris Olave, Jalen Waddle, and I guess you could throw in Devonta Smith in that 3 pack as well at 10, where they're all. I view them all very similarly, and I think there's slight differences between the three of them, but they're all. I mean, Olave is a 1, Waddle and Smith are 2s in their offenses, but they kind of all produce very similarly, and they all have extremely high upsides. Um, they're just not jump. They're not in that next tier yet, and they could get there, but they're just not there yet.
Yeah, I think at least for the time being, Olave probably has the best chance to get into that tier because Jalen Waddle's still going to be behind Tyreek Hill next year. Smith is still going to be behind AJ Brown next year. So, but I mean, they produce the same because obviously Waddle and Smith are in amazing offenses.
Yeah. So at 11, we've got T. Higgins, and I think there's a little bit of a difference
I had to
between
push hard for
Devontae
this,
and
guys. Like
T.
if y'all are, I had to push hard for this.
You did. Um, I don't hate T. Higgins, but I'm not a
Yes, you do.
plant my flag on T. Higgins kind of guy. You can argue me out of T. Higgins, and I'm just not going to fight you on it.
I I'm gonna start with I 100% like I get a lot of the concerns, but like we have seen him produce at an extremely high level. The only thing is in injuries, and I get that, but there's a lot of recency bias creeping in with T Higgins. Like I've had people try to buy him for like you throw in T Higgins and I'll throw in a second. I'm like, you get out of my face right now. I'm gonna spit at you.
That's terrible.
And I'm tired of it. This slander has got to stop. T Higgins, from a real life perspective, might be better than Waddle and Smith. Like T Higgins is a bona fide wide receiver one in a wide receiver two role.
Yeah.
And I also argue him here because I do think his situation has the potential to get better next year because it is very likely that he does leave the Bengals, which you can argue that that has its negatives in itself because Joe Burrow won't be his quarterback, but he has a chance to step into a true wide receiver one role.
Yeah. He definitely does. And I think that does need to be weighted with him. I think the dark side of that coin, though, is that if he goes to somewhere that just isn't a great situation, it could get worse. Um, so it's a bit of a risk. It could get very, very good. It could get not very bad, but just a downgrade.
I mean, he's a good
Uh,
player, so I mean, he's one of those like I think he will be fine no matter what.
he's probably going to be fine. I agree. Um,
Like if he Carolina's been really bad, but Bryce Young is a up and coming quarterback, and they desperately need weapons, so they're going to throw it to him 150 times.
yeah,
Or
I think he would be fine
or
in
the
Carolina.
Texans. Oh my gosh,
That'd be
get
terrifying.
C.J. Stroud this man right now.
That would be terrifying. At 12, we've got another three pack, and that's just because there are arguments for all three of these guys. Obviously, that's why there's a three pack. But it's Jackson Smith and Jigba, Puka Nakua, and Jordan Addison, the three rookies. All three have shown
One of these
flashes.
names I did not think would be in this conversation at this point.
I know you didn't. Ben is not on the Puka Nakua train
I'm,
at 12.
okay,
I don't. Maybe it's because you haven't experienced Puka Nakua. Because if you haven't had him, you're going to default to what you thought about him prior to him coming into the league, which was nothing. I
I don't
fully
view him as
agree.
nothing.
Well, before the draft, before your
Okay,
rookie
before the
drafts,
draft, I
Puka
did.
Nakua was not even a fourth round pick. I mean, it was like you got him off of waivers. He was nothing. So then he comes in and he starts producing, and you still have that little bit of, yeah, but this dude was like the last pick in the fourth round of your rookie drafts. Like you have that still in the back of your head. Whereas JSN, Addison were first round draft picks, have looked pretty good in spurts. Addison's looked great in spurts. And you're like, yeah, so I'm going to default to those guys. Meanwhile, Puka Nakua, for most of this season, has been top five in targets, catches, and yards. It's weird. I grant you that, but I think we do need to factor in the extreme production that he's had in his rookie year.
I'm I'm 100% with you there. He has shocked me. I will not argue with you at all there. But JSN is still an incredible prospect that we loved coming in. Jordan Addison is a touchdown machine.
Monster.
Puka's going to have 140 targets this year.
Yeah, he might have 150. He might have 160. I don't know. he's had he's had
Cooper Cup is
96
still in it.
targets.
Let's slow down. Cooper Cup is still in this offense, guys. Calm down just a little bit.
He's still getting double digit targets with Cooper Cup on the field.
I get that. But Cooper Cup's still there. That's the one.
He's had his bye week and he's got 96 targets. It's it's bizarro world out there because the production is so insane. It's weird. JSN, I think you just don't need to like. He's not been
Don't worry
great
about
yet.
him yet.
Yeah, don't panic. And Addison, I think, has just proved that he's the real deal.
I'm curious to see how Addison does once Jefferson comes back.
I am curious as well because he was a little bit touchdown dependent. Granted, he was scoring touchdowns, but he was touchdown dependent.
He's got like eight.
Yeah,
8.
it's dumb. It's very dumb how many touchdowns he has scored so far this year. But but yeah, so that's our top dynasty running backs and wide receivers. Let us
We will
know
do
where
this
we're
again in the
crazy.
off season.
We absolutely will. It's always fun to have a nice little check in, especially with the running back position because it's so volatile. Um,
You willing to put Marvin Harrison Jr. on here yet?
I'm a little hot and bothered about Marvin Harrison. Where would you have him right
Boy.
now? If you had to throw him in
Oh
and you just had to
God.
pick somebody to put him over, where would you go?
Not Jefferson or
Because
Chase.
no, today I would put him.
Maybe
Where
7.
would I put him? 7? You're telling me you would put him
Maybe.
over Olave, Waddle, and Smith today?
Very possibly.
Holy
Like if
smokes!
I've got in a 1 QB league or Superflex league, got the 101, 1 or 2, like in Superflex, Caleb Williams going 1. So I've got the 2, which is where I've got Marvin Harrison Jr. ranked right now. And my rookie rankings is the number 2 overall. I'm going to make you give me I'm gonna make you give me something big.
Yeah, no,
It's
I
gonna
agree.
it's gonna
He's going to
take
get picked there.
Amon Ross straight up, maybe. That's what I'm gonna make you pay me to get Marvin
Yeah,
Harrison Jr.
somebody will do it. That's the funny thing.
Dude,
Somebody will do it.
he's the real deal. That's the thing, is like this dude is 100% the real deal.
He's so good.
He is as good, potentially a better prospect than Jamar Chase. And Jamar Chase is one of the best prospects in a decade.
Yeah, no, he's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Whew. Anything you want to add before we get up out of here?
Nope. I'm super excited for Thursday night football. I'll say that.
Can't wait. Bengals,
Finally, a good game.
Ravens. These Thursday night games have
It's
been
a
pillow
gotta
fights.
have it for the Bengals. This is a must win.
Yeah, yeah, and the Ravens just salt like they pissed away that game against Cleveland, so you know they need one as well.
Well, I mean, that's
But
what
yeah,
the Bengals did. You got two teams coming off games they should have won, had every opportunity to win, and they blew it.
yep, yeah, it should be a fun night. Can't wait for Thursday night. That'll do it from us. We'll see you later this week when we're previewing week 11 and all the greatness that it will bring us. Have a great one, everybody. We'll see you.
Peace.